All right. So we're gonna have to have a conversation because I've been saying this a lot. We need to have a talk. We need to have the talk in regards to a certain game. Now, I 100%, I mean 100% would love to have this game on screen right now. I would love to even get the sniff, the whiff, if you will, of there being an MK9 coming out at some point in the future in some sort of remastered form. However, it's not going to happen just yet, right? And the reason why it's not going to happen just yet is because I believe that everything that is transpiring at the moment is happening for a reason, right? They announced the Legacy Collection. And because we have different eras of MK, we got the 2D Legacy, we've got the 3D era, and then of course we've got the NRS era, but we also have that brief period of MK versus DC and MK9, right, era. So there's kind of like, there's almost three and a bit eras, if you will, right? Because there's that many, right, then we have to be realistic about what's going to happen. Now, I could be proven wrong. And they might announce, yeah, by the way, if you pre-order it, you're going to get Mortal Kombat 9 with rollback netcode. I mean, I think everyone in the MK community would collectively lose their fucking minds, right? I don't think it's going to happen because I think that something like that would take a lot of work. If you go back and you watch my interview with Stephen Frost, you'll basically pick up on essentially their position in terms of the creation of the Legacy Collection and what they want to achieve, and essentially not spread themselves too thin or work outside of what they're working on currently right now, which is getting the 2D era games, in a really awesome collection for us to be able to enjoy. Now, obviously, to a 3D era fan, that's not going to be something that you're interested in. Maybe not. Or say an NRS era where you really missed out on some of these classic games. But ultimately, we have to be realistic. And I see a lot of people going, oh, the MK9 could be in here, or the Deadly Lights could be in here. It's not going to be in there. I could almost... Listen, man, I'm not saying I'm a prophet, right? But I've been talking about wanting these collections for a really long time, and they're actually doing it. They're actually... my idea, they'd have also done, right? Not saying it was my doing. I'm saying that, they were of the same... the same idea scope of, okay, we need to do this first and then that and then that, but they haven't announced whether they will get a 3D era or in anything else later. What would be really cool is that if there was some sort of Easter egg in the Legacy Collection that alluded to the fact that perhaps a 3D era was coming. But after seeing the success of what Capcom's doing, other fighting game companies, which obviously now NetherRealm, Warner Brothers and Digital Eclipse have all stepped up, and they're going, okay, we're not going to be left out with this either. We want to be the next big kid on the block who are giving fans these awesome games that they can play. So they don't care whether or not you don't play the latest Street Fighter 6, as long as you're going and having fun with games that they put out and you're buying. Yes, it's all about money, but there's a lot of money to be made. Now, would an MK9 remaster sell? You fucking bet your ass it would. Holy shit. This thing would sell... This thing would eclipse every Mortal Kombat, NRS Mortal Kombat game sale combined. Right? 100%. Because it is an amazing Mortal Kombat product. Now, I know, obviously, people that are on competitive level will say, yeah, but this was this terrible and this was that terrible and stuff. And because it'd be a remaster, they could absolutely patch things like that out. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they were going to go down this route with an MK9 remaster, that they could lean into the people that have competed in these games and gone, okay, what is the stuff that needs to change that's actually broken? Not, oh, we don't like this frame data on this move. I mean, like, actual infinites or basically, like, touch of death type stuff. You know, that's the sort of stuff that obviously needs to be patched out. Okay, and they could easily do it because this game was released in an internet age, right, when we were getting patches and we were getting DLC added to it, so it could easily be done. But you want to make sure that they do it right. You don't want this just thrown in here at the 11th hour just to try and get this thing over the line in sales. The Legacy Collection is going to sell. It's going to sell. It may not sell. Well, actually, I don't even want to speculate. As long as they've done it properly, which by the sounds of it, again, the passion and whatnot that Stephen was portraying and showcasing in the interview, that this collection is going to do extraordinarily well. Like, when I say that, I'm thinking of old school MK fans. Now, there are some people of a younger generation that have even come out and said that they would support this collection because of the fact of the love and care that will go into it. I mean, it's not just that we're getting a collection of these old games. We're getting, like, interviews and behind the scenes, no doubt, and just the general layout itself. It's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty awesome, right? I think it's going to be really awesome. I think this is going to be a big notch in the belt for Digital Eclipse, and I want to make sure that this one really stands out. This is a massive fighting game franchise here. This is the foundation. They want to make sure that they are not only equaling what Capcom's been doing, and keep in mind, remember, they did the Street Fighter 30th anniversary as well, so they've got some experience with this. Then you've got Capcom doing their collections. Now they'd be looking at that and going, okay, we need to equal that or be better. How do we do that? Well, they've already done it. So in my mind, they've already done it by adding in home versions of these games. Now, it maybe doesn't matter so much with Street Fighter, maybe, but with Mortal Kombat, it always was the conversation of, like, which is the better 16-bit version or the better 8-bit version, and they're radically different, and what's available with character roster and finishing moves and how to do certain moves and stuff. So it felt like MK was this very, very sort of pivotal game series back then that was, even in the home market, was causing a lot of conversation and controversy by trying to figure out which was the best version to get and arguing with your friends over it and all that sort of stuff. I don't remember that with Street Fighter. I just don't. I don't remember it with SNK, any of their fighters, but I remember it with Mortal Kombat, right? And I've always loved playing all different types of fighting games. So that's why I think, yep, you know, this is definitely going to be something that, you know, that to me, as far as I'm concerned, has already pipped the other collections to the post because they have gone out of their way to bring the home versions as well. And this is the first time that we're actually getting the home versions of Mortal Kombat into a collection. That's very incredible. And people go, well, what if MK9's in there? Well, I hope we get MK9 in there. It's like, and I'm not being like mean or disrespectful when I say this, but like that is 100% hopium. 100% hopium. Because MK9 doesn't fit the legacy, the trailer, the showcase of the games, the imagery is all legacy, 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 legacy. Right? It's all legacy. I mean, why has nobody sat there and gone, well, if they were going to have the 3D era games in there, or MK9, right? Why would John Tobias be in the trailer? John Tobias's games, like, he left before the 3D era came out. Why would he be in a trailer for 3D era games that he had no part of? Yeah, obviously still co-creator, but he had no, you know, hand in the creation of these games in the 3D era. So why would they have him in there? Right? If they were going to add in all the other stuff, everything from the 3D era and up. They won't. Because again, what they're selling here is the experience and the period of time. like a period piece, if you will, of the 2D era of Mortal Kombat. All the people that were involved in Mortal Kombat at the time, right, which obviously includes John Tobias and Ed Boon, and my dog's noisy, and that's kind of the bookend of this collection, right? You're not going to have 3D era in there because, like, he wasn't a part of it. And judging by an interview with his son over on Kamidogu, it kind of didn't sound like they were massive fans of the 3D era either, right? And that's fine. Like, you don't have to like what, you know, what's done with, say, like, your world building or creation and things like that. That's fine. But you often wonder, like, at least I do, what the story would have been like if John Tobias was involved, right? How radical would it have been different, or even similar to what we got in the 3D era and beyond? And so, therefore, I understand why people want MK9, because, like I said, this game alone would sell hotcakes, which is why I would bundle it with a remastered version of Mortal Kombat vs. DC. And those two games alone should be given the time and the dedication and the breadth of making sure that they come out practically flawless. You know, proper online netcode, like rollback netcode for both. You know, just having them just mint condition. So that way we download them or we install them, we load them up, and we're just having fun just straight out of the gate. No issue, no fuss, no muss. Just awesome, you know. And you want to have that. Like, you deserve, like, we deserve that as MK fans, MK9 fans. We deserve to have that sort of stuff. And you don't want to have, like, in a previous reaction video I did, like they mentioned about having Shaolin monks. And of course it'd sell if they had Shaolin monks in there. But Shaolin monks is part of the 3D era of MK, right? And it would make a lot more sense for them to work on the 3D era MK together, rather than sort of section themselves out and go, oh, well, this team over here will work on this, and this team will work over here. No, the whole team works on this one thing to get it perfect, and then gives us the Legacy Collection, and then they move on, hopefully, to the next one. Because I think this will sell really well. It'll sell well for the old school people. I'm going to be pimping the fucking shit out of this collection, right? And what I really hope that Ed Boon and NetherRealm and Warner Brothers are starting to understand is that it's okay to acknowledge your past and allow people to play with those again. It doesn't mean to say that people, you know, you can't try and force people to play your new games if they're not doing very good, or they're not feeling like what Mortal Kombat is, right? You've got to just give people options and choice, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's only 50 people that end up playing these old games online. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they now will exist in a collection for us to enjoy. And for something like MK9, you want to make sure that this is given the care and love that it deserves. You know, so that way it can, if it eventually does, which I'm hoping all of this is a prelude to the future of what we're getting with re-releases of old MK, that this will be a preview. I mean, shit, man. They could import the MK Vita version, like the MK9 Vita stuff, like the extra costumes and stuff for the DLC characters, and some of the ninja characters got extra costumes. They could have those, right, and import them into MK9, right, and they could call it Mortal Kombat Ultimate Edition or something like that. And it's got everything from both of those in there. Now, I don't care if you don't have Freddy. I don't care if you don't have Kratos. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. That doesn't bother me at all, right? Shit, man, they might do something bonus-wise. They could do something completely new they add to it. Who knows? Who knows what they could do? But, like I said, and I love that the people are very excited for MK9 and still want it to come out. I am. But you've got to be... Okay, I guess, you know, not to be like the breaker of balls here, but you kind of got to be realistic. Right? They're not going to put MK9 in it, because that would be something that they would dedicate its own trailer to. Imagine they start a trailer off and you're getting MK vs. DC, and it's like, oh, that's great. Remastered visuals, old and new, you know, rollback netcode, blah, blah, blah. Interviews behind the scenes. And then lightning crash, bang, through the screen. And then you see the MK9. Oh, look at it, get goosebumps, man. Look at this shit. You see the MK9 logo stroll up. and there's like Mortal Kombat Ultimate Edition, you know, and then you see like remastered. Look, fucking goosebumps, right? All the gameplay, rollback netcode, imported costumes and stuff from the Vita version, just 4K cinematics, so we can play through the story in a high definition. Ah. Perfect. That would be perfect. Right? And that alone itself would be amazing. It would be so exciting. Because we've already seen the impact of just a legacy collection with the community. Especially the old heads such as myself and many others. The excitement that's built around that. And to be able to take that and then have a 3D era excitement level. When the 3D era babies get to have their day in the sun. And then we have the MK9 where we all got to have our day in the sun. Right? So that would be pretty cool. So I know people have expectations and they have hope. Big hopium. Right? But keep hoping. Keep praying. Shit, man, I've been talking about this shit for ages and they're finally doing it. Never say never. Never say never. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.